Now you're throwing water at me.
I got it, John.
I at least threw it empty. Throwing
Sorry,
it full.
Terry. Add that to the bill, would
That
you?
was just like.
Are we
Sorry.
ready?
Yes, doors open.
Okay, everybody? Notices of this meeting were forwarded to the Inquirer, Courier Post, Clerk of the Township, District website, and members of the Board of Education, posted on the Board of Education offices at 17 Ariel Road, Blenheim, New Jersey. Please note that this board meeting may be audio videotaped. Please stand for the flag salute.
Oh, here's got a bigger flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Dentino.
Present.
Mrs. Fritz. Here. Mr. Gibbons.
Here.
Mrs. Gelch.
Here.
Ms. Gore.
Here.
Mr. Marks. Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Johnson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, Mr. Marks had other things tonight. You couldn't make it. Okay, at this point, we are going to start our goal setting. So Terry Lewis, thank you for coming. And we're ready for you whenever you're set.
Perfect. So am I the only one on the agenda tonight?
Yeah.
We have no other business?
No.
Okay. So I will warn you ahead of time that the more you talk, the quicker the process. So there's these long awkward silences. It doesn't bother me because I like them. So the more you fill in those long awkward silences, the better. So we're gonna talk about district goals tonight or board goals?
Both, please.
Both? Okay, which one do you wanna start on first? District.
District?
District, okay. Does everybody know the difference between board goals and district goals? Okay, I'll explain. Does anybody else want to proffer a guess? Linda?
No, go ahead.
You sure? Come on.
I'm good. I may say
District goals.
something wrong.
District goals are set collaboratively by this group here. And it sets the priorities for what the district is going to work on this upcoming year. Why do we do that? Well, the first reason is you evaluate the superintendent on it. But the second reason, which to me is most important, is it keeps everybody with their oars rowing in the same direction at the same time. If you all have a different idea of what you should be working on, you can't have your money follow the process, you can't have your resources there, you're kind of all going in different directions. So that's what this is set to do. Now, once you set district goals, it then becomes the property of the administration to make sure that they put together the action plans and the things that they need to make those goals come to fruition. You monitor the process. Board goals are a little bit different because they belong to the board. And that's the board's opportunity to improve the work that they do for the school district. So they should center around your knowledge, any of your processes, anything that you think the board could do to make themselves more effective in oversight of the school district. Questions? Okay, so here's my favorite part. And this is where you guys get all really quiet, so. Tell me what has been happening this past year that have made you guys go, hey, we're really making strides here in Gloucester Township. What are some really good things that you see that are happening with kids in your schools? What are you proud of? And I'll just wait.
We've been reviewing policies. That maybe we've seen a little growth on so far, but expect more growth.
Okay.
So, for example, discipline and dress code was a big one.
Okay.
You're welcome, guys.
Student dress code, not staff.
Student dress code?
Is staff something we need to look at?
And, no,
No, I think it's just you do, or it was a
no,
clarification?
I was just clarifying.
Okay.
We actually
What's
rewrote
the,
that whole
what's
policy.
the, reason behind the student dress code, if you don't mind me asking?
It was the
I'll
ripped
tell
jeans
you.
to start with.
Ripped
The,
jeans.
the way some of them were ripped, like really,
Because times have changed and clothing has changed and it's,
The current trends.
yes, it's a lot harder to get jeans that aren't ripped.
It was footwear as well, Crocs were,
Yeah.
a common thing.
But I
It
think
was an
hoodies-
outdated policy.
Hoodies, right, it was an outdated policy, but it got away from us and things started to happen that we hadn't changed towards yet.
Okay.
So we kind of worked backwards on it. But it is a little more
Hoping it's a little more,
reality.
right.
this is our goals that we have for this year, Terry.
Do you have another copy of that?
I printed some. I'll do that.
Keith wanted one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, wait, I have
I only had the one.
Wait, can you make copies, John, for everybody?
Okay.
Okay, so you were reviewing policies, okay, and you concentrated pretty much on,
The policy committee did, yes.
okay. What else?
We're in the middle of the discipline right now.
Right,
The things that went on
Pretty much
was
so
good.
we're rewriting.
Rewriting
things. So
things.
we've already done the dress code, we've basically rewritten that whole thing, and now we're in the process of rewriting this policies.
I also think we had a great budget.
I was gonna bring that up. Isn't this the second year in a row with no tax increase?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
That was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
More transparency with the public in regard to what's uploaded with the minutes. We're now uploading attachments with the minutes. So if you're looking at the minutes and you see something on there, you can now scroll to the attachment. The bill list is now being uploaded with the minutes or with the agenda as requested by the public.
And I think
Do we
we've
add
also
more-
brought in some more programs to help.
We
with
added more
social
counselors,
emotional
though,
for
right?
children and the students.
This
So that
year.
support that they need, those additional programs like the Care of Solace.
Care Solace was a big one. To help, staff also. It could be used from anybody, from parents down.
I do.
It's called Care Solace.
Care Solace.
Okay. And
I
what
think
was that
for the
for? That was for
community.
students?
It is, it's for community as well as students and staff. Like it's out there for parents to utilize.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We also added a lot of counselors into the new budget to help support mental health.
Conversation.
He was saying the same thing.
I was asking her a question on something.
Oh, okay. I thought, but a couple minutes ago, I thought I heard you.
I said adding more counselors.
Anyone?
Well, this is a big school district, and this is a really short list, so what else you got?
Well, we got a new roof. The
zero increase in
mumbler
budget.
person will tell you that it's the last building we did, but he just mumbles that.
Who's that?
That would be you.
The new roof?
Yeah, so it's the last building we did.
It is,
It is.
it is.
Everybody else has a new roof?
They do.
All the schools got done first, then maintenance, transportation, then
Security has been updated.
Yeah.
Security's been
Mhm.
updated
We have a
Where-
blue
where-
ribbon school.
Where did you update security?
in the schools.
We did.
New cameras and stuff, didn't
Oh,
it?
the cameras.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cameras.
The district applied for a ROD grant to help with facilities, which we won't know anything until September. But at least it's applied for.
We are recording our meetings and uploading them on YouTube. You know you love it.
How many people are watching them?
There's quite a few,
20,
20.
not many.
Better than none.
I don't want to look at it.
Building improvements, I don't know if we touched on that, like, bathroom improvements. The list, I think it was.
Oh, didn't we put the things in the bathroom for vaping, the detectors,
Oh, the
vaping
detectors.
detectors?
Still got a problem with that?
Unfortunately.
They're ingenious. On
We
my
did a
way
lot of
to-
upgrades.
On my way to
Like-
vacation, you know,
When have you done that?
stuff you don't think about, right? I'm sitting next to this guy and he's got, I don't know, a couple of young kids. And he said, and it really kind of stuck with me because he said, you know, when we were younger, he was being nice to me, of course. When we were younger, he said, you know, I could get in trouble because if I was smoking a cigarette, I'd come home, my parents would smell it. You know, if you're doing anything else and you were smoking something illegal, now Wyoming was illegal. He said, you know, you come home, your parents smell it on you. He goes, now, nope. You can get all those substances and not smell. So he goes, it's a different world. Like you have to really pay attention to what your kids are doing. So that goes right along with your data.
We did do, for the public, the sexting and,
Collaborated with the police department.
police department,
Vaping.
vaping.
We do that
Every
every
year,
year.
the public
Vaping,
parents.
sexting.
Then they educated.
We haven't done it in several years.
Because of COVID, I guess.
Yeah.
Your parents, are they coming out for those programs?
We had more than, we
We
had
had a
more than
nice
I
turnout.
thought,
Yeah.
100.
About
Good
100.
turnout for that.
which
It was
is
a nice
good,
turnout.
normally that's not, that was a good one. The police department did do a good job in conjunction with the
It's really meant for inbound sixth grade classes. It's really meant for middle schools, but we thought it best to show it to parents first, so they had an idea what their kids would be subject to.
Okay.
But it was something we've never done before. We've never done that before.
One other time, but it
Yeah,
was a
A
while
while
ago.
back, right,
This is the refreshed version.
right.
And then it'll be presented in September, starting 6,
Yes.
right?
That's when the kids are getting it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We did a referendum for Adriana's law.
And what did the referendum, what was the result?
It's still in bill form or whatever.
Okay. So it's not a referendum, what did you do?
Guess it went to state assembly or legislature.
It was a resolution.
A resolution, I'm sorry.
It was a resolution.
Resolution.
To
Ask
support,
them
for the
for
support of.
Okay.
What else have we done?
I think the board as a whole has attended more student programs this past year.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I've been to quite a few.
Yeah.
I went to the STEAM day last week.
She hear your blue ribbon?
Hmm?
Blue ribbon? Did we end that?
I don't know.
I-
Did you get the blue ribbon?
No.
We have a blue
Yeah, well,
ribbon
we have a
school.
blue ribbon school,
Oh, which one got blue ribbon status?
Glendora.
And it's 100 years old too, this year. Those-
The school is?
Yeah.
It is,
Same year.
it is.
The building
The
is?
building.
The building.
movement piece,
Wow.
yep.
The original, yeah. No, I didn't know it in the beginning that we got it now.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
This
Yeah.
is like the
It
second
is.
district. I have another district that has one school, they have 5 schools. One is 100 years old,
Oh, wow.
and 2 of them, I think this year will be 100 years old. So 3 out of 5.
Wow. Yeah.
They got closer.
Gloucester Township School is close too, I believe.
What are they, Gloucester Township schools?
They're soon ready, soon to, yeah,
Next year?
Next year.
next year.
Next year, Gloucester Township will be 100, our Gloucester Township school.
Then we'll have two.
You have 9 or 11?
11.
Wow.
With the blue ribbon, though, there was only one, there was 9 in the state of New Jersey, and we were the only one in South Jersey.
Oh, that's excellent. Very nice. All right, so let's take a look at what your district goals were last year. And then we're gonna decide what we still need to work on, or is there something else that we wanna pull into the mix? But I like districts that concentrate on goals for multiple years, because I feel like if you did it and you can accomplish it in 1 year, it really wasn't a good goal. It was too easy. So I prefer things that, you know, you kind of work on until you feel like they're ingrained into the fabric of your district, and then you're like, okay, this has become our way of life, so we can now move on and do something else. So your first one was identify methods to increase student achievement in language arts and math. Your second one was to analyze school discipline related to rising incidents. Oh my gosh. Oh, I bet you that was an interesting analyzation because everybody is just buried in the same issue. Social emotional learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion for teachers training. And then you have a transportation goal to look at the % of completed runs, along with improved communication with staff. So I don't want to discuss like how well we're doing here because you're probably still in your evaluation process with that. But what I am going to ask is, do you think that any of these should be carried over?
All of them,
All of them
Yeah,
should.
Yeah.
every one of them.
Do you want to change them in any format?
I would think under goal 2 at the analyze the discipline, I think we need to develop additional security measures by researching and adding more SROs or other ideas as far as people that we bring in. We have right now 3 SROs for all of our buildings, whereas our high schools, which are part of the regional, they have 1 in every building.
We need one in Mullen, one to stay in Mullen.
Yeah,
I think we need one in each middle school.
each middle school would
And
be
then-
ideal.
That would be ideal, and then other people to go to the elementary. But I think that's a great idea to redo goal 2.
I agree with that, but I also think that's more of a reactionary measure. I think we need to probably do something more proactive as far as discipline, as far as getting to the root of what's causing it, because the
Yeah,
SROs
let's-
are great, but.
Let's add the
we need to make that a
counselors.
goal, right.
Can
Yeah,
we,
so
can
the
we,
counselors,
in
I think-
addition, with goal 2, not only the SROs and the discipline, but the counselors that we're adding as well? To be a long-term
How
goal.
about provide more emotional support to students, staff, and additional support to the counselors to deliver those goals? Like more rounded?
Well, I think that's the take on adding the more the counselors is to, and
That's such a new idea
It
and
is.
program that we're just starting, that I think that fine tuning it over the next couple of years is a good goal. See what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on, I mean, in reality, it would be nice to have 3 SROs in each of the, one in each of the middle schools, but to make that a district goal without knowing what the cost is going to be, I feel uncomfortable doing that. I think the larger part of school discipline wasn't criminal kind of activities. I think it was more just bad behaviors, kind of. And I think that
Bad choices.
rewriting
Which is why.
the policy on discipline and then having it being enforced in every building and adding the mental health layer might get us closer to goal 2 than just randomly putting an SRO in another building.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with Kia, how she said that's a reactive thing versus, and, you know, in redoing the policy, it's following up on what the policy actually is and enforcing what we're trying to do and seeing what the outcomes actually are. 'Cause-
Right, and like Ellen said, to make sure everybody's following the same procedure.
Right.
That's where
Uniform.
I have a
Consistency.
problem. We need the consistency of every school to follow the same thing.
But I think as part of that goal, if we wanted to make it a goal to find out how much additional security would cost, that would probably be good too.
Okay, yeah,
Well, can I interject a little bit here?
please.
Please.
So, how many superintendents do you have?
One, and an
And
assistant.
an assistant,
And how about your BA? How many of those do you have?
one, and an
And an
assistant.
assistant.
What are you saying, they're busy?
No, I feel like I just heard from a lot of them. That's why I was wondering. So I need to bring you guys back to refocus a little bit. You get to decide the what. The what is what you want, right? As to how it happens, that belongs to your administration. So I kind of liked what Kia said, you know, hey, we want, now that we analyzed it,
Okay.
we want to see some results. So really, I think you could change one word in here, and then let them do their thing. Whether it's SROs, whether it's putting things in place. Doesn't matter to me because I'm not the how.
What's the one word?
Analyze.
Analyze.
Okay.
We spent a year analyzing it, right? We know what the issues are.
Right.
We already started putting some things into place. So we want to, and I don't care how you want to put it, but like, you know, increase positive behavior or decrease negative behavior or whatever you want it to be. I mean, you could even focus on your more. It's a horrible thing to say. Whenever at an elementary school, and I have to say violence, it sticks in my mouth. But I mean, it's happening. So, you know, reduce the number of violent events, you know, among students. That's where I would change that goal. And that's something that can be measured. I mean, you can look at, you know, your number of HIB incidences, your violence and vandalism report. Those are things that can be measured. So you can see where you're gonna start out the year with and hopefully, you know, progress as it goes.
Good. Okay.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Tim? He always sits behind me, makes me turn around. It doesn't-
I told him to step on.
Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I leave the wording up to you guys. I mean, you can wordsmith it later, you can hand it to John and his crew and say, here, let me come back with a goal.
Okay.
But I think it should be around decreasing that,
Negative,
Yeah, like that.
So the negative.
so increase positive behavior and decrease negative,
The number of negative
and I'll put
interactions.
negative interactions.
you could do that. I like interactions, because that's broad.
You like that?
It covers a lot of things.
Right,
It
yeah.
covers, you know, kids vaping, it covers violence, it covers fighting, it covers HIB, it covers all that.
Mm.
And you have different measurements in place for all that, so you can look at it throughout the year. All right, goal number 2, we're all, oh, I love this, we're all agreed on that.
I was going to make that one.
Okay, how about, Let's
Still
talk
number
about
one
goal
repeated?
3. Everybody said you wanted these to continue, right? Do you want them to continue in this format?
Sure.
Social emotional learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion for teachers training.
Terry, was goal 1 staying as it,
We didn't look
Okay.
at that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
when
think,
you said goal 1,
yeah, I kind of skipped
okay,
it.
I gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, I think
All right.
I just think
Very
number
good.
3, instead of inclusion for teacher training, I should say for all staff.
Yes.
Because I think all staff needs to be on board with that.
So the way that this is kind of written is a pretty big goal. Can you like narrow it down maybe a little bit, give it a little bit more shape or a little bit more focus? So I think if I'm reading this correctly, you started on a lot of work this year with these 2 issues, these 2.
I think you mentioned earlier how big the district was.
Yeah,
So rolling training out for staff, whether it's certificated or all staff, takes time.
okay.
So we did identify a firm that can begin doing this year with teachers. Additional teachers that couldn't receive it are going to get it in the near future. But as you said, when we want to have a positive training session, it should be not only limited to teachers, administrators should be subject to similar training teachers get. I certainly think that departmental supervisors should receive this and then kind of push it down.
Yeah.
So it's a process, but
Okay.
we did commence it this year.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Are you guys good with that?
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying over there in the corner?
I'm trying to think how we're gonna word that, not that it's,
Just
Yeah, I'm
social
not wording it.
emotional
I'm
learning
letting you guys
starts
come up
with
with it.
that. I feel like we should have like.
just
Give it
instead of
to me.
a teacher's training, put all staff
Yeah.
involved in the district.
Yeah, I just say all staff because
I
I
agree. Yeah.
don't know how you do it if you don't do everybody.
Right,
Right.
because
It has to
John
be
said we
worded.
already
Yes, so
started it. so
like
you want
Nancy
it.
said, increase too,
Increase.
because he said we already started it, John said, so Nancy said, can we say increase?
Right.
In the beginning, and then for all
Change it to
staff.
all staff.
And
Sure.
diversity equity is another term to consider.
Well, not really, because it's actually DEI.
Yeah,
Um,
so increase.
John, the firm that you have, are they doing DEI or SEL? You said you've identified a firm that's gonna come in the fall.
It's DEI.
You have 2 different? Okay, gotcha. Okay. So again, if you're gonna wordsmith this, to me, I would just be kind of increasing staff knowledge in social emotional learning and diversity, equity, and inclusion, something like that.
All staff.
I just said staff, yeah. To me, when you say staff, that's everybody
I
from A
like
to
that,
Z.
I like to put all in there. Just my opinion.
I haven't heard it.
Are we good with that one?
Good.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, how about goal 1?
We've identified methods throughout this year, we should be moving on, identifying.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So if we've identified this year, we should be moving on to how to implement.
So honestly, like,
I feel like
I'm
that's
with
so
Keith
broad.
here,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of
Yeah,
like
so
increase
that's too
student
broad.
achievement in ELA and math.
Right,
That's the purpose of school.
I agree, right.
Right,
We're past identifying,
right.
so
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of school.
I don't think that that's measurable the way it's written, honestly.
Oh, would you change it?
It's only measured
Keep
by.
accept, assessing, there's no assess.
That's how it's measured. I don't like
Continue
that.
to assess.
That's not really, that shouldn't be the only way
No,
we're
not
assessing.
at all.
No, it should.
Agreed.
Just take the first 3 words out of it, right? Increase student achievement.
I think
Tim,
where
what do
she
you
is
think,
going
Tim?
to is she's like, okay, how are we gonna
Wait,
measure it?
Tim?
Like, what's gonna be, what's our starting point, what's our ending point?
Exactly.
Where are we? And what are we gonna use to measure it?
Can we ask
Yes,
Tim?
Tim,
He's sitting behind you.
you're on the spot, Tim.
I think the two most logical choices are to, the board previously used STAR results,
Right.
which we do give universally across the district. Part of the reason that you like that when we used that last, was because we could have results before the end of the school year. Standardized test results, the state test, you don't get those results to the summer, and so then you have a lag, and it's a little bit more difficult to report out when you do this session each May.
Sounds like money.
With whether or not you met the goal or not. So the STAR is the one that was most convenient to,
So to change that not to be so broad, how would you, what would your wordings be?
I think you could say is measured by, STAR results. You could either decide June over June every year, or you could go from September to June of the year.
So we would take out identify methods and just say increase student achievement in ELA and math.
It's measured by
With
STAR.
measuring by the star.
It's by STAR with the spring, universal screening.
That's gonna be more accurate anyways.
So let me ask you another question, Tim. Is there
Done.
He's
is there
behind you.
maybe a particular, I know, I'm not even looking at you, so I'm sorry. Is there a particular group of students, I don't know, 4th, 5th graders, that you think maybe it would be better to target? Like, I don't know what your data looks like. Would it make it easier to say, okay, it would help us immensely if we targeted this specific group of students?
Not necessarily, I think sometimes taking the breadth, oftentimes the teachers, one of the things that I explained to the board before, where there's some some vertical congruence there, is most of our teaching staff that teach these ELA and math use STAR results as part of their student growth objectives. And then most administrators also use them for their administrator goals, so there's already some
Everybody's working
alignment
on the
there.
same, okay,
Correct.
Yep, that makes sense, that totally makes sense.
Is the STAR testing something that is going to stay consistent?
We've
For now.
been consistently using that. Every once in a while, we tinker with going elsewhere, but then the idea of a change starts creating, all sorts of unintended consequences, stressors switching over. There's a lot of issues that go into that, and the STAR still continues to demonstrate that it's, consistent, reliable, and has a lot of the same, standardization tools, and well-researched when it comes to that. So it remains a good tool, and it remains one of the screening tools we use for identifying students that need intervention.
Alright, so you're good?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And then, dreaded one,
Transportation.
transportation. I'm not gonna ask you if it's gotten better, because believe it or not, I had 80 districts, and I walk in, you know what the big word is? Everybody's got it, so the question is, is it a goal?
Yeah, but is it obtainable?
And is it something, you have to do it anyway, right? So
So
is
it's
it really a
not a
goal?
goal, because it's part of, right?
What you replace it with?
Well, you don't have to
You don't have to.
replace it.
You
You
don't
don't have to.
You don't have to have 4.
Supposed to have 3, but we just did 4 last time.
But I see Terry's point, because that's what we provide, so.
You have to provide transportation.
So it's not even-
You're all fighting over the same group of bus drivers, I got news for you.
Mhm.
So I take it out then.
Yeah,
Is everybody all right with taking it out?
yeah. Yep, I don't have a problem.
Yes, so why are we-
You okay with taking it out?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, it's,
Okay, no goal for it.
Unless you want a new one.
Unless you wanna
I
do
was just
something
gonna
with
say,
it
you wanna
and
do a
increase.
new goal of some
um,
sort that,
So let me ask you a couple of questions. I'll just ask you one. So is there anything that you have here in progress at the district that you think needs some more attention?
there were some slight discussions in changing over some of the Brett Denovi taking that in-house instead of.
that could be,
Posting and.
Yeah, it's a
That's
work in
al-
progress.
that's already in progress
too,
though, really,
Yeah.
With the new budget.
with the new budget, that's really almost.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Which part? Keith, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
We were talking about switching over more, getting rid of some of the Brett Denovi bills by taking the staff in-house.
But technically, we are trying to do that with our new people that we're bringing in.
I understand,
Outsourcing.
Yeah.
For
So,
the-
do we?
yeah, but it's still
Still a
not
hot
something that's
topic,
done,
absolutely.
right? So it still can be a goal that you're setting
That you can
and
keep
putting it in.
as an ongoing
Yeah.
Yeah.
monitoring.
We don't need 4, it's just another thing that it's changing it from transportation into that, in a way.
So why are you doing that?
To save money.
Okay,
Our bills for this one particular company were about $1.5 million for the year. We feel that if we have in-house people, we could save some money.
you're a big enough district, you probably could.
Yeah, the key now is to get and retain the staff in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I
And that's
got
where
news for
the
you.
hiccup
You
is
know what
coming.
I'm gonna
say.
Yeah, that's where the hiccup is coming, so it's
Do
a
you
work in
think bus
progress.
drivers are scarce? You
Mhm.
haven't seen anything yet.
Mhm.
Terry, just for a point of order, how many districts in that 80 complain about obtaining staff in all departments?
Almost all, except that special ed is really taking the lead,
Yes,
like big time.
yes. Like name your ticket type of thing?
Well, we're hoping too that we can train people rather than just, I mean, we need to bring in seasoned people already, but to also be able to train people to eventually take over.
That was my understanding, they did that before, right? That initially happened. a
Many
few
years
ago,
ago.
There was a
right?
misunderstanding,
And it
remember,
just
we went
never-
over it in the special
Yeah.
services
They-
meeting,
they
there was a
just trained
misunderstanding
and
that
Staff
they,
resources.
like, a lot of people thought that
But we can't all
we
talk
trained
at
a
the same
bunch of
time
people,
here.
but only like 3 really took the test.
Right,
Right.
because they found
Right.
out they weren't gonna get enough money.
We weren't
It was
paying-
like 50 cents an hour more, and they
That's what it
figured
was. It
that
was
for
the-
that
it was the pay.
much money, they weren't gonna bother with it.
No.
I think it
50 cents an hour
That's all it was.
would have been
I
their
thought it was
raise.
$1. I thought it was $1, but their rate was so low
It was low to
anyway,
begin with.
that
Yeah,
every other district around us was
Yeah,
more competitive, even giving
Even
that
than giving the
$1.
dollar.
I believe we
So-
purchased so many licenses
Licenses,
or settings or trainings, whatever. Yeah, and then people decided that they didn't want to go through it.
Right.
It's a 40-hour course.
This is support staff though, right? That what
Yeah,
you're
Yes.
talking
But
about?
part and parcel to our labor needs, the board has been responsive on trying to continue to increase rates of pay just to be contemporary, keep up with other people willing to pay the same. So that seems to be revisited with some degree of frequency now, which is good.
Maybe that should be one of our goals.
No, that would
Well,
be-
I think actually it's somewhat accomplished in
Yeah.
many
Yeah, it
regards.
really has.
I think we continue to work on it. It's not perfected, but there's even more things coming out
Mhm.
Yeah,
that'll be on the
Just leave it at
agenda.
the 3 though.
okay.
How about identify, touchy subject, how many free or reduced lunch applications are returned or standing? That's the debt.
Oh, to tie into like
To
the
tie
ending
into-
balances that,
Mm,
How would that work?
Towards, that's touchy too, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, kinda.
that's- I have
I know.
thoughts on that. Terry, the concept is, there's a lot of state laws right now that people that should have their students paying for lunch still think it's COVID when they didn't have to. And so bills mount.
Yeah.
And the laws protect the families because you can't withhold a report card or
Right.
prevent someone from doing something. But there is a caveat to that, which is if there's a fee, like a student class trip, or if the board were to impose a student activity fee to participate in clubs or sports, you can prevent people from being in them until they satisfy their bill. It's the only caveat in New Jersey that you can do. So historically, we would have losses of 4,000 to 8,000 pre-COVID. It's over 40 grand this year.
Holy mackerel.
We haven't looked at it in a while, have we? It's probably grown since then. That was a
Didn't we
couple months
implement
back.
that?
And I haven't, honestly, I haven't, Mr. Gibbons looked at
It
it,
was a
but
conversation.
I mean, brought to the board's attention, the board said to me, get involved. I have. I've direct letters to people.
Did it bring in any?
It did.
Some.
It did bring in some, but in many
Not enough.
cases to no avail. So it's an issue.
Yeah. it
Well, how
is.
do you ring that in?
That's an issue statewide because there's a survey that went out by this business administrators asking about it. Like, what are you doing in your school to try and bring it up? Like, try and bring in revenue. It's statewide. It's not just here. It's everywhere.
Very difficult because you gotta, the student who waits all year long to go on a class trip, you're gonna withhold the trip on the kid because,
Because mom and dad didn't.
yes, ma'am.
Right, right.
That's, I don't like that concept. There's gotta be a better way to reach the parents.
And like we had talked about before, not everybody fills out that free and reduced lunch if they're eligible for it.
They
But
don't.
how do you get-
And we have a real challenge with people that are not English speaking. They fear if the government's, you're filling out a governmental form, in some cases they think it's traceable back to them, so they resist. And we have those populations, which are growing.
I was just gonna say they're growing leaps and bounds.
So
So I'm not so sure it's goal material.
No.
Like, I know they have a handle on it and they're working on
yeah, I would
different
rather
things.
address,
Yeah.
come back to the board with a couple ideas. Certainly what you heard from Gene about what business officials, I'd love, are they gonna come back with what the districts are doing, some kind of summation?
They just put the survey out to everyone to review, so I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
Could we make that a goal? Just that's what the other districts are doing?
No.
Well, I think when he gets the results, we
It's
can
not
furnish
really
it
a
to
goal.
him.
We can, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not really a goal to be able to be attainable.
Oh, we still can furnish it to, I mean, once you get it.
Yeah, I mean, there's other things we're working on right now. Like we're gonna digitize it. Like most districts have gone to a digital format. We're in the middle of doing it right now. So you don't have to fill the form out. You can do it online. We're making it easier for them.
Venmo. You're laughing.
We'll take it
That's
any
what-
way we
You're not
can.
wrong.
Are you, so do you wanna
Venmo
keep
your
it
money.
3 goals, or do you wanna try to make a 4th goal? That's really what we need to decide here.
Well, is there anything out there that's not on your radar that you think maybe you should start taking a look at?
It's not on our radar.
Well, that we're not currently looking at to do.
Lots of things.
She's pointing again.
What was that?
She's pointing again.
If it's not on our radar, then
Well, I should just.
It might be on 1 or 2 people's radars, but it's not on your collective radar. I mean, is there anything out there that you're like, we should be doing this? Or we should think about doing this, or?
This is one of those long, awkward silence as you were discussing earlier?
On to board goals, no.
Yeah, I think the 3 is fine. Good by me.
I agree.
If anybody has anything, bring it up now. Don't wait.
I'm thinking,
Mhm.
just, I don't know.
I'm good with 3 goals. Save some for next year.
How's your attendance?
For staff or students?
I actually think the attendance is fairly, fairly good. I'm not,
Okay.
certain of the specifics.
I was in a
Right now.
district the other night, they have 30% chronic absenteeism. It's K to 12, and the worst numbers.
It's not as good, it's worse than it was pre-COVID.
Oh, wow.
It's worse now than it was pre-COVID, you're saying?
We had made a lot of progress, that had been, those had been goals of ours with attendance, and so we still have not gotten back to the attendance levels. Now granted, people are still keeping their kids home, probably for legitimate reasons, because certain sensibilities changed, but it's still not great. It's actually worse than it was last year because we don't have the remote option when someone was out. So we'll see where we finish up the year and then make some goals for next year.
Do you think that should be a goal for the district, or do you think that's just in between
There's law.
It's an issue.
departments?
Said next
Do
It's an
you
issue.
think,
I mean,
yeah,
but
it is the
we will
law.
address it whether the board makes it a goal or not. We review those
Right.
numbers and buildings and address it through administrative meetings and the buildings come up with plans anyway.
How could we fix it, though?
That's part of our issue. We had taken more aggressive measures and it toughened up the board policy and enforcement of the policy, some of the things we're talking about on other issues pre-COVID, and we've kind of been put on our heels a little bit because of COVID and the aftermath of COVID. So I think some of what we've got to determine is, does the board want to start taking a harder line on attendance, or are we still going to be a little bit more lax in light of
Legally, though, we can't
We penalized over
put the
it.
child out, so
No, but we have,
You start
we
taking them to court.
take them to court, and then we also start not allowing them, start having they go on what's called attendance probation and things like that, where they're not allowed to participate in other activities.
Are the parents held accountable? Excuse my
Well,
ignorance
yeah,
for that.
they
But
should
they kind of let.
they kind of
them
laxed
go,
it.
But they should be.
Which could
should
be-
on that.
What about
Could be
parent
during
involvement
goal one.
overall in general? Can we
Absolutely.
help
I'm
try to
not
increase
against it.
parent involvement?
Yeah,
That's a good goal.
I mean, they're.
Ellen
lack of
brought a good
attendance.
point up. She said that could be hindering goal 1 with
Right.
lack of attendance.
And two,
So
parent
people-
involvement.
I think before you jump into this, kind of would both be, the district that I was giving you an example of, they were looking at their chronic absenteeism rate. So, thank goodness people are keeping their kids home when they're sick because we don't want them spreading whatever they, that's a nice
There's some
thing.
benefit from
But it's the amount of kids that are missing more than 15 or 18 days a year. It's an issue. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. It might be just something that you want to keep on your radar as you go through the year. Maybe you wanna get some progress updates on that, how are we doing, what does it look like, in case you do have to do something.
And like Tim said, they're doing that anyway, so he would be able to give us those updates.
Yeah,
We can just share that data with the board.
I think it's something to stay on top of, because sooner or later, the state's gonna walk in again and say, well, we're gonna start paying you for your for your attendance. Because
I see
you
that
did
coming
used to lose money for that.
Yeah,
They've been a little lax, but
Yeah.
sooner or later, they're gonna turn
90%
around and it's gonna be like, hey. So
true.
you just wanna be careful that you're watching.
okay,
I feel like we are.
Yeah.
all right.
I I'm not quite sure how you would word this, but is there any kind of a goal that, I guess, broad-based would just ensure that the policies that are adopted by the board are being followed through?
You can't really make it a goal.
No,
Um,
a law?
To meet your goal.
I think it kind of is important that, that there, I guess what you're looking for is consistency.
From
That's-
building to building.
Yeah, I
and-
hear that a
yeah.
lot, yeah.
Mhm.
You could actually, make a goal for administration that there is consistent application of policy. And then leave it up to them as to how they
How
want
they
to work with their, their building leadership to
Okay.
make sure that everybody is doing it. Now, I said that, but keep in mind,
You what?
okay?
Would you hate me forever?
Just as, and everybody else, our schools, they all have to be the same, they all have to be the same, they all have to be doing the same
Well-
thing. I don't believe in that.
But in certain things they do. I think in discipline
Right, if
situations, I'm
it's
not
written
talking,
down,
I mean, if we have a policy that says this is what happens to this child if they do X, Y, or Z, and it's not consistent with the rest of the district, it should be.
But you have different age levels in your schools. So to me, you have to take some of that into consideration.
It's spelled out pretty
It is,
detailed
But
in the
it is
policy.
pretty detailed in the policy. So if one thing happens in this school and the same thing happens in this school, there shouldn't be two different
Handling it two different
consequences.
ways.
Right.
It should be the same throughout the district. That's where we're having an issue. And it is pretty detailed how we have it, but,
So yours is mainly over discipline
and dress.
and dress.
and dress.
And dress.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think I'm too old for this anymore. Like, I'm sorry, like, dress code, like, I want them to come to school. And then I'll work on the dress code. I want them coming to school and excited to be here.
Yeah, but how do
And then
you,
we can,
but the dress code, the way some of these kids are coming in now,
I know.
you got boys in middle school who are looking at the girls and they're not learning anything anyway because their eyes are somewhere else. So that's why we figured these ripped jeans were ripped in places that shouldn't have been ripped to go to school.
Right.
So the respect isn't there because, let's face it, middle schoolers are middle schoolers and guys are guys and whatever. Girls can do the same thing. I'm not saying that it's just a guy thing, it's a girl thing too. But that's why we're trying to get the dress code back into, even with the hoodies.
We
I
were
guess
dealing with the dress
maybe-
code of the kid that showed up.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I understand what you're saying, but I also, you have to look at like what you see when you go into a middle school and they,
We see underwear. We don't want to see underwear.
like, I,
Boys and girls.
boys don't need to see
Underwear.
it, girls don't need to see it on either or. I mean,
Here's the problem that you're facing. The only way you're gonna be able to fix this dress code problem, other than like hats and hoodies and
Yeah,
stuff,
so
Mhm.
uniform.
is the parents have to do it.
And that's
Because at this
true.
point in time, and I'm
Right.
thinking, I made a lady cry last week,
uniform.
and it still has
Most
upset
big
me,
districts have it.
and she was a board member. And they had a big discussion about dress code, and she said, this is what she said to me. They wanted to put in a dress code goal, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna be a party to that. This was the same district that had 30% crime. Okay. So, she said, you don't understand. I can't control my daughter. Her daughter's middle school. I can't control my daughter. And I'm like, really? Are you just telling me that you can't control your daughter, so you want to send her to school and have the teachers do it? Is that what you're saying? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, you tell your daughter she's not allowed to wear that to school.
Right. Right.
That's not what's happening. So, there are parents out there that are relying on you, the school district, to enforce this. So if you wanna make any inroads at all, I'm thinking it's, oh God, are you recording this? You're making any inroads
our
at
goal.
all, that's where it has to be.
I
Parent
agree.
involvement.
Back to
think that's
parent
where-
involvement.
I agree
How do
with
we
that,
increase
but-
parent involvement?
Well, by making them more aware
Well,
of
it's
what our
not, we don't learn
policy is
how,
and
we
putting it
put
in the
out the goal,
handbook.
and then they
think it is.
figure out how.
Well, the new
That's-
one.
Yeah.
But I also think in the building level, yes, if the parent fails and sends the child in with inappropriate clothing, if a teacher sends that child to the office and then the child comes back in the same clothes, but it's not the clothes that are in our policy, then there's an issue. So I guess that was what I was trying to get to. In a way, making it broader based, that you just follow the policy from everybody that's a stakeholder, I guess. I don't know. I don't know
How you
how,
word it.
I agree that it starts at home, but if home fails, then it doesn't mean that it's still appropriate for school. So how would you ensure that,
It's a conundrum.
right?
The sign of the times. So if you're gonna do that, and I know that this was one of your, was a board goal that I'm looking at down here. You just have to be prepared to stand up.
So what, the parents that come here?
They're gonna come,
They don't have a problem?
and you guys are gonna
You
have
guys
to be
go,
prepared to do that.
we're all good.
We're fine.
We're good. Because we addressed that when we were rewriting the policy, because actually, parents had already been told that they could step the dress code back. So we actually had to take it back from them, and they had to be re-advised that there were new rules. So we did discuss the fact that we could have some pushback, and it was important to us to say, that's okay, we'll take it, you know, if it comes our way, so.
The students received it pretty well.
But as far as a goal 4,
It's just the
I just,
consistency is what my
Yeah.
problem is. I mean, I think the parents probably maybe did, but I don't know if it's consistent across the board. That's where my problem is, but I don't know how.
I mean, could you broad base, right, consistent implementation of all board policies?
So your goal number
And
4
John
could
says,
be
how do you
something like
enforce that? But
ensure consistent
Policies are being held to
consistent implementation of district policies across schools. You do that.
I mean, but then to John's point, he says, how do you enforce that? And I get that, but the policy's in black and white in writing, so you give it to them.
True.
But then what, right? Come on, say what you want.
Then they'll come to a board meeting and start screaming and yelling.
No, it's not a good idea. I mean, I
One of the principal things board members have to do is set policy and the regulations that accompany it. And yes, we have,
But we've already set the policy, so now isn't it just for like you to follow through with it, to make sure that it's being followed? I mean, the policy's in effect.
yes.
Right.
And there's probably some, I know they're all important, but if you take a look at our policy books, one of them is about this big. But within a school building, there's probably some essential ones that all administrators should ascribe to and be consistent. And perhaps, Strauss asked me, which is, well, they have some very good people on staff, maybe they can come and, have the professional development with our staff on this topic of reinforcing. We have new administrators that have to make sure they have access, which is on our website. Some way there's.
I'm not following what you're saying.
Yeah,
There's
I
too
don't wanna
many
train
goals or too many
people.
Policies to follow them, is that what you're?
We need someone to come in to say, follow this policy.
I'll show you the policy book.
We get it's a
I know
lot.
the laws that are out in the United States.
There's
of things
tons of
that you
them.
can't do,
I don't
like
break 'em.
Ordinances in a town, that doesn't mean that you don't know the core base things that you.
I'm not saying
Not
they don't
supposed to
know.
do.
I'm not saying they don't know.
Okay,
I don't think the board should say that either.
Enforcing them different.
You know,
But to Mary Jo's point, the policies are already there, they're already adopted, so.
Your issue is people are enforcing them differently.
Right,
It's
so
not
why-
consistent.
That's not-
Right, so if we make
I
it a
don't tell
district goal
each
for
person to, you have to
consistent-
enforce it this way, you enforce it, that's his job.
Right,
When we're saying that, though, I think, are we speaking specifically on the discipline one that we're working on, the
no,
policy?
all
Any and all
policies, I
policies.
think
All
they come to
policies.
the forefront, yes.
But those are the ones that we are more concerned about right now.
Right.
you could dress and grooming, this is the policy.
Right.
You may have one staff member, any staff member, have someone, a student walk by and it's not going to have any disturbance. You may have that student go 10 more feet down and it is a problem with another staff member. And that
That's what the.
But they should just
policy-
follow the
they should follow-
policy.
That's what the policy is
So if there's an
written
issue,
for,
then I guess
though,
it's up to those
so that if
building
there is an
administrators
issue, I
to.
mean, it's pretty black and white in that dress code policy.
It even has a diagram.
It
is.
is.
One staff member can look and say, wait, but that's not the right thing, and the next
It has to
staff
be
member
here.
should be looking and saying, yeah, you're right, not, ugh, I'm not sure.
And then that's a building level issue then, because
It
they
is.
need to be the ones to.
But if it's a district goal, then there's more urgency in the enforcement and following
Is the
through.
question, how do we enforce it?
Well, that's not
No,
my question. My
consistent.
question is to make sure it's
Our goal is not to
Consistent.
enforce it.
That's not our job. It's not our job to enforce it. Our job's to set policy, not to be the police of the school. That's not our job as a board.
No, and I get that, but what John is saying, that one staff member may not think it's wrong, but if it's
Then-
written in the policy.
Then he has to take that up with his administrators.
Right,
But if it's a district goal for consistency, then
we have to take it.
then
So you
Then
have
it
other
has
people
to be
fail us
addressed.
for
ensure
it.
that.
Not always gonna be the nice guy.
You could actually, just
Yeah.
kind of like to ensure consistency of discipline and
Put that in there.
what did John say, dress or grooming policies among all the district schools.
I like all policies.
it should be all policies.
I like all policies.
I like all policies. I mean, if the policy is written the way it's written, it should be followed the way it's written. So how do you
What-
just pick
what is
out
it?
two?
What is it that you're really trying to accomplish?
Consistency.
Okay, so, but you've only given me examples of two things.
Discipline and
So
dress.
why are we trying to boil the ocean here?
Well, that's because I think that's our two major things right now that we've worked
Well,
on.
that's what a goal is.
I get that.
So it has to be more specific.
So it has to be a specific, measurable.
I kind of agree with John, like, you guys have seen the policies?
Well, yeah, that's when you say the word all, you're including this, but if you're
right.
drilling down to just the two policies, the
Dress and the,
dress and the
and
discipline,
the discipline.
then at least it's
Maybe because
somewhat
they're the hot
achievable. You can't
items.
all, you do all and it's a book this thick.
Right.
Achievable.
But you want them to follow all.
Well, yeah.
But let's start there, let's start at those two and then.
With
we'll
those
go
two,
all-
and
we'll
then,
go to all
then
four
as
of
we, if more
Administration.
things come up that we are concerning to outside or inside, then we. So just put those two down for now.
Yep.
And then continue to monitor the others.
Well, then what's the point in the rest of the book?
Yeah, how can you enforce just two?
I guess
I mean, I know the
what I'm trying,
problems,
but-
like, how do you
No,
know that they're, like,
Yeah.
if the policy manual's this big, how do you know that they're not consistent? The only examples that you've given are in these
Okay.
two areas. So how do you know that they're not already consistent? That they're not already doing it?
Do you mean, you're like talking about if you have a policy manual that's got 200 policies in it, that's what you're referring to?
Oh, it's got like 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000,
Yeah,
that would be nice, right, yeah, I didn't wanna go to that, but, right, it's like,
Yeah.
impossible for this right now.
Then what is the point in the rest of the policy? So-
But we address them
Exactly.
as they come to our attention. I mean, do we know out of 2,000 policies, or how many of those 2,000 policies are on our radar right now?
Probably
Not
the
a
ones that
thousand.
Terry's referring to.
I could look at the list of policies and go, oh, that's one. Oh, that's one.
Sure, I agree, but
So
I
pull
think,
it,
you know,
who's got the computer?
I think, you know,
I'm sure there's at least
not 1,000, I mean, you
5
know,
policies or 10 policies that
Yeah.
there's inconsistency on. But I would need to look at the list and go, yep, this is what we do here. Yep, this is what we do here. It's just not fresh at the moment because I'm not looking at the policies. And those two are the ones we've been working on consistency.
That are at the
consistently.
forefront right now that we've had issues with.
I'd rather go back to parent involvement
Yeah, same.
than this one. I really would.
I think, yes.
Well, that is the root of it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
that would-
so I think that's more of an
It would help with
obtainable
other
goal.
people,
It could
And
help.
it would trickle down to a lot of other things, getting parents involved.
Or informed.
So, yeah, informed,
Informed.
but I know a lot of times, they have events at schools for, I'm going right to Union Valley Bingo, cause it is my favorite thing of the year. But parents are invited out to play bingo with the kids, on a Thursday night in September. I love that. So do all schools have events? A couple events a year that parents are invited to?
Pretty much.
And I also
So
think
what
of
would
the
the goal be?
socioeconomic structure of the different schools. If you have a parent who works 11 to 7 overnight, and, some things in the morning, they can't go to it, or if they work at night, they can't go to it. And with all of the different hardships in society today, which I think we could all agree on, how could we make it more inclusive for all of the parents that might have different struggles? Even as far as, and this is not an excuse, but if Susie's leaving the house at 7 o'clock in the morning with ripped jeans, right? Mom might not be home. She wants to be home, but she might not be home to catch her leaving the house like that. So how do we grasp to those?
I'm sure tons of
you know,
kids get changed in the bathroom when they get to
bus
school.
drivers
I'm
told us.
sure.
Yeah.
That's how I did it.
I
bus
do
drivers
want
told
to
us.
assume,
You were
you
bad.
know, goodwill on the parent, on the parent's part. So I'm trying to look at it empathetically. How could we help them?
Well, again, the how is not our call here. We're not
Right.
asking the how. We're setting the goal of more parent involvement. The how is somebody else's
Okay.
job to do, right?
So when you say parent involvement, I think you need to be kind of a little specific. Like just to increase parent involvement is,
Yeah, what's
I
your,
don't know
what's
if I
Right.
heard
your
whole
your
parents
intended
involved.
outcome
I
for
don't know
that,
parent
like
phrases. I don't know.
parent involvement, just the people to say they're involved, or what is your intended outcome for having all these parents involved, which I agree they should be.
It is frustrating when you have
but
this many
what do you
kids and
look
then
for
even
that?
that's texting and the vaping. Yes, we had more parents come out to that than usual, but, and like
Awareness, education.
like you're saying, everybody has different schedules, and I don't know how you would. I mean, it is hard in that respect, because some people do work.
Right.
Well, look, we had one meeting where we talked about parents coming in and volunteering during lunch, to help oversee lunches. That's parent involvement. There's the council of schools, I've heard they don't have a lot of involvement in their thing. Start there. Like,
Yeah, the
helping
PTOs,
get those,
but you're right, some parents, single parents that work
Can't
can't be there at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday to serve cupcakes. But if we have, the more events we have, the more opportunity there is. So,
But it's always the same people.
I don't know, we're involved.
Then you're making a
Yeah, but then you're,
decision.
you
Yeah.
have,
Right.
that's not,
You can't make
that's not
one
right.
in September, you can make one in March.
Yeah.
right, if we
Yeah.
have just more opportunity, I think.
Seminars or something.
It's up to them whether they do it, but we have to put the opportunities out there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
texting,
They do, they do, but it's-
what's the
Maybe like
one-
seminars or something for the parents, informational
well,
topics.
Nobody
or
wants to
something.
go to a seminar.
Like how we.
No, they wanna play bingo.
Bingo and talk about sexting, I don't know.
All for
Combine
tacos,
it.
they're really tacos.
I know, nothing wrong with tacos, man. I like
Taco
it.
Tuesday, district-wide.
Taco Tuesday, I like it.
7 o'clock, Terry said if we talked a lot, we'd be out at 7.
I know, Terry, we
said
have
if we
not
talked a
stopped
lot-
talking.
you said
We
we'd be out
have
at
not
7 if we
stopped
talked a lot.
talking.
You
All right,
lied
let me
to
throw
us.
something out at you.
You wanna get out of here at 7?
She's like, they were talking about bingo.
Wait, Terry has an
and
idea.
Tacos.
How about to create more opportunities to engage parents?
There you go.
Yeah,
Aw.
it's beautiful.
It's very simple.
Yep.
For all stakeholders?
Create opportunity.
I still like my goal.
And you know, I hate, I hesitate to use the word parent, maybe
No,
caregiver.
No.
Parents
Yeah,
and
I-
parents.
Stakeholders or
How about
Home involvement.
grown-ups?
stakeholders? I
And
mean, every
How you're gonna
caregivers?
accomplish that.
Stakeholders.
I think really what you wanna do is engage with them. not
Guardians.
just have them.
Yeah.
That's what she
Okay.
said, create more opportunities.
Is that good?
Repeat it one more time? You had
Create more opportunities to engage parents and caregivers. You could just say in the educational processing if you wanted to.
I like
In their,
mine.
in their
I like
students'
yours better
education.
too.
Oh my gosh. This might trickle down to yours.
You better hope so.
Not sure.
You good?
I like it.
Again,
Okay.
All right.
I was still,
Create more
I was stuck.
More opportunities to engage parents and caregivers in their students' education.
See, that's hard for me, cause I don't even know what's in every building right now, so I wouldn't know, how would we know if this is?
We
Yeah,
get
you
a
said-
list.
you said
It's on
educational
the
process. Wait,
superintendent's notes.
I know, he sends us a list of all the events. It should
Right.
just double now.
Oh, okay.
But if we leave it.
Well, there you go,
broad, it's
that's my
flashing.
measure.
That's-
I
There's a
read
measure.
them. Okay.
It's just more, doesn't say
Read
double.
'em.
It's in an educational process.
You
In
better
our
start-
educational process.
He's gonna write ditto, ditto, ditto.
Okay, we have 4 district goals. Do we like them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
well, Ellen doesn't, but
Let's
whatever.
take a look at board goals.
Okay.
Probably still doing one.
All student groups to
There you
ensure
go.
they're given the opportunity.
2 is.
Did I do these goals with you last year?
No.
No.
She's probably like,
I didn't think so.
Didn't look familiar?
Yeah, after she.
She's looking at him saying, I would not have written that.
these are terrible. Who did these?
We kind of ran out of time and
Okay, so your first one is
Somebody no longer with us.
to continue to monitor academic progress on all student groups to ensure they are given the opportunity to succeed both academically, behaviorally, monitor progress frequently, make decisions about changes in teaching and goals.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. I like the first part
He
of the
probably
goal.
didn't either.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
it was.
Because really, that's what your job is, to
I
sit
could tell
there
it
and
was.
monitor.
I could tell.
So
I
I
hear
don't
that
have a
voice.
problem with that.
You don't have a problem with what?
I like the first sentence and take out the second.
Yeah, the second one I don't think you need.
Take out monitor
Monitor
progress.
progress frequently.
It
Okay.
is redundant, and I'm not even sure what it says.
Okay.
Neither does the person that wrote it, I'm sure.
But it was phenomenal.
But he thought it was phenomenal
But
when
this
he wrote it.
actually relates to 2 of the goals that you have
Yeah,
at
we
the
mapped
top of the
goal
district
3.
goals.
Mm-hmm.
So this is you monitoring the progress of those 2 district goals. I have a problem with that, that's fine. Analyze and restructure dress code if needed.
Well, we did
But
that.
we can do it
Ellen
already
said.
done.
Complete
That's a
that.
terrible long
Make
time
sure
ago.
The consistency.
We can make
Did you
sure
just bring
that
up
it's.
dress code again? You did that?
A little redundant.
Now we're here till 8:15.
Well, it was important.
We talked that to death.
Yeah, we did.
So we can take this one off.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
complete. Achieved.
We achieved it.
We identified it was needed.
We analyzed it, we restructured it. What would you like to do now, enforce it?
Consistent
like to
and
make sure it's
enforce it with
consistent.
consistency.
It's not our job.
Okay, we did number 3
We did
also.
Number 3 too.
Yay!
Okay. Now, number 4, I have a little bit of a problem with. Can anybody kind of guess why?
Why?
Cause we don't engage the students.
Same guy wrote that one too.
Not say effectively.
This isn't your job.
That's true.
This is not
The
your
problem
job.
is the person that was involved and wrote these thought things that were not the board's jobs were his jobs.
Okay,
So he's no longer here.
yeah, that's not your job. But thanks for
Sure,
all the
responsible.
suggestions. I mean, I know that Tim's been taking notes, I know that John's been taking notes the whole time, a lot of the things that you said, that's fine. But
We did three,
like,
take
you
it out.
can't make, this is a district goal.
I'll give you $5.
Put that on the floor.
So now we have 5 district goals?
No,
No,
Okay,
no, we're just taking it out.
gotcha.
$5. Stop it.
So, you currently have one board.
We have
goal.
one board goal.
Oh, that's.
$5, I'll do it with you.
We could technically take the four at the bottom of the board goal and make it
Yeah.
three to district.
Yeah.
So it's really hard here when we have like 2 or 3 separate conversations going on.
And ours is not productive. I'm just
And
saying.
Don't just yell at this end, you better yell at that
No,
end too.
they understood, they understood. So if we have suggestions,
Difference is we
let's
shut up,
let
you
the
did not.
whole group hear it instead of just one end.
Okay, I have a thought. I know you don't like social media.
I
However,
love social media.
however, there is a a Facebook page. And there's a lot of misinformation on there. So what about the possibility of us having a Facebook page?
We've already talked
To
about that
fight
for
this.
years.
No.
For years, we've talked about
Who
it.
is us?
I would say no.
Well, somebody in the district.
So the district doesn't have a Facebook page?
We have
No.
no.
Nope,
Nope.
not an Insta, not a Snapchat, not a TikTok, we got
We went
nothing.
over this
Well,
before.
other things get
We were supposed to
We have a
hire
TikTok?
somebody in district, I thought, that we were
So
paying
why
to
didn't you
do
say
that.
that before? Because that's not a board goal.
Give them the money and they're not doing it.
We didn't give them money.
Well, now let's
They-
go
they
back to
left.
district
Remember,
goals
they-
real quick.
Yeah, but we
left the
need
Ed
board
Services
goals now.
Commission.
Yeah, but that's not a board
They
goal,
let
that would be a
release.
district goal to see
Somebody
how
does
they can do
computers
it.
all the time.
So I'm gonna say this, one of your goals is to create more opportunity to engage parents. So underneath of that, one of the objectives, I think, might be to examine your social media presence and
Oh, I like
make
that.
changes.
We
And
had, I
implement.
just checked with John, we did have it set up for somebody, but the person left who was supposed to be doing it. It was a couple years back we did it.
So you have a large enough district where I wouldn't just make it one person.
Alright, so wait, so you're gonna add that to goal 4.
Yeah.
Well, wait,
I mean,
that's like more than a full-time, that's all like called a communications department.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
It's
It
district
depends on how you
very good
structure
point.
it, and you can do a little bit of research.
Yeah, it can't be called that because the law doesn't allow you to do that
Right.
anymore.
Not for
But there
PR.
are districts that have
You're not allowed to
one
have that.
person in every building that act as like administrators of the pages. And take turns.
Well, each school has a page.
Yeah, a
like,
lot of them
On
do.
on the website, you can drop down to,
The
Each school.
PTOs
That's the PTOs.
have
Right,
Facebook
yes.
pages, the
Yeah.
district
The
does
district school
not.
doesn't, it's the page, it's the
It's the,
PTOs,
yeah,
it's
it's
the parent
the
teacher or
homeschool.
the PTOs or whatever, home schools.
Where are these drop downs or
but
something?
you can,
On the board page.
So one of the districts I would take a look at was,
You can check the different
That goes
schools.
to their.
No, not a Facebook.
Blurb about them.
You lost them again.
I know, what the heck is going
I
on
was
here?
about to start the clap.
it's a whole department though.
It is and it isn't.
Sorry.
So if you pull Lenape Regional, if you go in their policies, take a look at their communication policies. And they have already done a lot of this work. So you can pull some stuff from there to figure out how to get it together.
Oh, wow.
And I would start out small, like I wouldn't do all of it. I might start out probably just with like a district Facebook page and build from there. I mean, I
But our
would go
page will be
into-
promoting positive stuff. It's not gonna be going after like gossip that's on other Facebook pages. I mean, when we talked
Right.
about it before, it was
Yeah.
promoting positive things going on in the district so that
Yes.
parents were aware of things that were going on and had the right information.
But to Mrs. Stantino's point, there are districts, when there's something out there, there will be challenges sometime, and I don't know if we can keep going down rabbit holes.
You can
with
set it so there's
misinformation.
no comments.
Oh,
You
Lord.
have to eliminate comments.
Yeah, you just set
Not
it
like
as a-
Facebook.
I
You
hate
have
that
to.
idea. How about if we just ignore negative comments but allow people to comment? How about if we rise above it?
I would start out small, like I said.
Okay,
Just keep- Yeah.
But who's doing this? You have to do this.
People
I
will
don't
will
have
put
anybody.
comments
I'm gonna
down
hire another
and
assistant
Yeah,
superintendent.
you'll
to do
wish,
it.
you wish you didn't allow them to put
As long
comments
as I
down.
need 150 grand, I can do it.
It is gasoline on a fire. I don't think
Ask
Facebook
Jean
will do it.
for 150.
What?
John doesn't have anybody to do this.
We don't have anybody to do it.
This to me is a whole
And
new
if we try to give it
position.
to administration in each school, I
It'll
don't think
be-
that's fair.
It's bad.
They have enough going
I
on.
think
What about-
that
They're
I don't
worried
like
about
the idea.
dress code and discipline.
I think along the
If
lines.
they
of
were, we
just
wouldn't be here.
Gonna supply
Did anyone get
the,
At least start.
the media to them.
I don't think it's that
The
big. of a
administrator of every
Mm.
school.
Yeah, I don't think it's that deep either.
I don't either.
I know.
Start, at least start a committee to talk about it, whatever, but I mean, a
People,
district
people
this
write
size,
nasty
you really
comments on
should
there.
have
It's
something.
bad.
You should have a
To defend comments, who cares?
Well, if they write it, who cares?
That's like inviting someone
We
to
do
say
have a
something to
website,
defend,
but
who cares? I
Yeah.
don't care what you say.
That's
Right.
totally
We do,
different.
we have
The two
Somebody
differences in
to do that.
communication are a website, somebody has to go there.
Saying
Social
allow them to say
media,
every
that's what we
time
call
they say.
push. I mean, I didn't pay it for it to show up on my
Right,
phone.
that's
I
what I'm
like your
saying.
page, all of a sudden they're gonna start
It's a
seeing.
waste
Yeah.
to have it.
And it really is a good way
It's
to
one
get a
other thing
lot
to
of your
maintain
good
and
messages
defend.
out and a lot of the really exciting things that's happening in your school. That's the way I like it.
Why
It
can't we
really
have,
does go under goal 4.
I would just eliminate
That's what I said.
commenting part.
yeah,
It's a sub-objective, even if you just started a committee and started putting some policies together to try to, you know.
You'll
In
have
your
nasty
experience,
things
do you
on
see
there.
one person doing, like, being the poster
Mm-hmm.
on the
She
site?
said, she just
She
said
said the
several
admins
different
of
people, admins or whatever.
That
But it's
worries
not a
me.
Me too.
I don't think it's
That's a
that
lot
deep
of
either. Why can't we get one person to oversee it and some parent volunteers or something?
No.
Oh, no.
We're gonna have parent volunteers
Well,
control your
what do you think,
district
they're gonna
website?
post bad things?
We're talking
Yes.
consistency.
Yes.
Yes.
That has to be controlled by the district.
Yes.
We do.
That's
We
gotta
can't
be
let
a
outside forces
consistent
control.
thing.
Well, you can
If we
set,
have on
you
our
can
school
set
district page
things.
that you can click on each
Right,
school and
that's-
there's some things that are on there, why do we even need that?
That's what I said.
If it's on our main page.
It's on the drop down.
Yeah, it's on the drop down on our main school page,
You can
Oh,
drop down if the
Each school.
district.
She's talking about the website.
on
Correct.
the website.
Because
but you
the
have to go
website
searching
means
for that.
I have to go there,
Mhm.
and most people generally don't, unless
People
they
are
really
already
need
at
something.
Facebook, so
Yeah.
they're.
I'm
But
telling
if
you.
it's something that's on Facebook,
Bag of worms?
You'll post something which you think is great, like the 8th grade went to Washington DC, and you have some parent that said, my kid couldn't go because this person made my kid stay, and it'll light the
Halloween.
place on fire.
And Facebook will have
Oh.
to be consistent with the other website, because what.
Are you saying that that's not true, that that didn't happen with the parents posting it? They're allowed to say that that didn't.
Yeah, but because they put it out there, is it true?
No.
No,
But it will
but-
believe-
So now you're doing the
But-
same
But
thing on
that's
our
not-
page that they're doing on the other ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's enough of those pages out there. You ain't wrong.
They're all
They'll put a
copycat
teacher's
anyway.
name to it
We've
and
had
everything.
plenty
Yeah,
of
that's
people
what I don't
send
like.
in
Pages are
texts and
poppycock.
things that's you that aren't substantial.
That's what I don't like.
Really? Hmm.
so I would make it exploratory and I would put it under goal 4.
I like that idea.
Let's go back to board goals.
Okay. We have
So
another.
2, do we remove it?
We removed 2, 3, and 4.
You're not continuing with 2, the dress code to enforce and things that
It
come
says
up? and-
analyze and restructure.
No, they're,
So
It's-
I took it off because I think a lot of the stuff that was done, you guys did, and I think it should have been done by your administration. But that's water over the bridge right now. So this is well on its way. The ball's in their court.
Alright, so we need goals.
So, okay.
All right, let me ask you a question. So the ball's in their court. What happens if the consistency is not there? Then what happens? Then who do you go to? Who do you blame? Who do you say, hey, this is inconsistent across?
I think you just make a point of it and say, you know, hey, look, it's really important that we are consistent. You know, parents expect if they're sending their kid here, that what happens here is also gonna happen at this school.
So was it
Why don't we-
analyzing the dress
I mean,
code?
like, what do you wanna do?
And that goes
We
with
can-
everything now. That goes
We
with
can
even.
find out who the errant people are, and we will take them out back of the school year and
With a
just take them
switch.
at normal.
With a wet noodle.
You,
Switch.
you have to, I know what you're saying,
But if that's not,
I'm pretty sure that your administration understands that consistency right now is very important to you.
but why can't we write it down?
Because you two are the only ones that wanna write it down.
I don't know about that.
I'd probably
Like,
say write
I'm
it down because it's not
monitoring up
consistent,
Oh,
Now,
Mary
now,
Jo.
right?
Mary Jo said.
You mean
write it
every
down.
one
It's
of
not
you,
consistent across
Wait a
the
minute.
board.
so every one of you sitting up here are gonna say that you
Who you
think
pointing a finger
everything's
at?
consistent.
No,
Here.
it's not consistent.
Then why are you not agreeing with us?
We're agreeing.
Well, how many
I
goals do we
agree.
Then
have?
how'd you count? You have bad math, Miss Terry.
I just don't think it should be a goal.
You don't think that should be a goal, consistency across the district?
How many goals should we have?
I think it needs to be consistent,
needs
but
to
I
be
think
consistent.
administration has to
Dress
enforce
code
it.
as
They
far
do.
as even.
Our
Here's
job's
what I
not to
think.
enforce it, we're just the board.
Linda, you asked
We
me a
set the
question.
policy, but we don't
It's like
enforce it.
transportation. It's just something you have to do. So for us to say, follow the policies just seems kind of silly. It's like transportation. It's the same thing for me. You just have to do it.
You expect the children to follow you.
Eh,
You should follow it
exactly.
yourself.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. How profound.
I don't disagree that we should have it written down somewhere, but at the same time, I don't know how many goals we should be having. We keep making this list longer and longer, and things that we had on our list should have been, you know, maybe it's. I don't know.
Oh, it's you.
It's me, sorry.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying consistency
I'm
with
with
dress
you.
code.
There's a few
I'm saying
years now.
consistency if one kid moves from the south end to the north end, that their education could be consistent, they should all be there too. And that doesn't happen either.
Now you're off policy and
I'm
on to other
sorry.
stuff.
All right. No, I'm talking about consistency.
I think we all agree. I think the message is clear, though. That it should
I
be-
don't know, it's been said out loud. We can pull this tape and replay it.
Okay. All right, we need board goals.
All right, so is there anything that you want to do to improve any of your processes, any of your work?
Each member has.
Don't use the word consistent. Please.
This is why we get nothing done. 'Cause we're too silly.
I would like workshop meetings.
So would I.
Ooh, me too.
You're like what?
Workshop meetings.
I would like to not get stuff on Friday or Wednesday, pardon me.
You guys only have one meeting a month?
We don't have workshops anymore.
No, honestly, the last one we had ran.
Well, we
I
had
think
one.
by
It's
meeting,
painful.
we
No,
have
have committees. It's
It's
better.
painful.
When you signed up
have
for that, there was
committees.
workshops
Committees are
and regular
And they don't
meetings.
have to be
Not really.
every
Right.
month.
They're done correctly.
No, we do
But-
not have workshops.
The workshops, what it turned out to be is you're sitting there and you're asking questions. We did the same thing for board meetings, at least when I was president of the board. I used to say, if you had questions, to send them in ahead of time so that the administration had time to get the answers, whether it's for special services or from the BA or the superintendent, whoever. And then, but we also asked for us to get our packets a little bit earlier so that we had time to review them and then send in the questions. And then we did a lot of stuff through committees.
We have so
It's the
much
same
going
thing.
on that when we go into executive session, it is such a mad rush to get out of there in an hour that, you know, you ask a question and it's like, okay, everybody email the board president and tell her what you think, and then we'll figure it out from there. It's, I agree that it's just a mad rush.
So I kind of agree that you probably, I mean, you have a big district.
Mhm.
You probably don't need them every month.
No,
No,
Right,
I would be very selective on like the 5 months, I think that you do need
maybe
them.
4 or 5.
Yeah,
We did them a couple times throughout the year, I thought.
we did,
Couple
we
months.
We did
Well,
one
we
this
did
year.
one this, yeah, we did one this year. Yeah.
I just feel like we
but I
got
think
more
it's fair for the
information.
community too, that if they wanna come to a workshop and ask a question. on that workshop.
Yeah, and then it gives us time to go through
Like
our
there-
What's the
packet,
difference
ask
if
our
they ask it at
questions.
a workshop or if they ask it at a regular meeting?
Cause at least at the regular meeting, you can go back and say, hey, so-and-so asked this at the workshop, this is what we came up with.
But there's times
No,
that
to
we
make-
email questions and then people ask the same question at the board table. I think actually when we email a question, the whole board should be aware so that you don't know if the same person's asking the same question over and over and over for whatever,
Agreed.
check back up or something like that.
I still think we need to bring some type of.
Yeah, if we
workshop
have
back.
workshops, then we can look at the agenda and we can have these conversations regarding the agenda, not just send a question in and have it answered. I don't know.
But
I
you're-
agree with the
But you
workshop.
asking for a question, it's your answer. It's a question that you want answered. If the public wants a question answered, they're gonna ask it. Everybody may have different questions. They're gonna ask whatever the
I still
questions
feel that
are.
a workshop should be.
But so in your
proactive.
scenario though, when you're saying the question, you're getting the answer, but the public didn't get the answer though. And then if they have the same question,
And we would
now you're
answer it.
answering it twice.
And we would answer it. We never deny answering
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
questions.
I like hearing
But
what
I'll-
we'll say so that I know, I might have not thought of something.
I
and
do,
then,
yeah,
you know.
you don't know what you don't know, and the
Right.
public enlightens me all the time, because they just give things that, oh, I didn't think about that, which then prompts another question for me. So, that's why I feel like it's a working relationship with the public more than just the agenda. And a more of a working relationship with the board, because we're literally having conversations about what's on the
What
agenda.
do you think, Isabella?
But go ahead.
I think you should have consistent committee meetings is what I think.
That too.
The last two districts I've been in had consistent meetings. They were usually a week or two before the board meeting. And we would keep minutes, and then we would send those minutes out to the rest of the board. So if you weren't on that committee, you got at least the minutes that came from, so whatever was discussed, you knew whatever was discussed in committee ends up on the board agenda. So that's why the minutes went out.
You get 2 sentences or 3 sentences of a 45-minute conversation. And so it's 4 people getting all of the information, and then the other 5 people just getting snippets.
Well, the only board minutes I've seen that we've gotten are curriculum from Mr. Tro and then special services, and they've both been pretty lengthy. His is really, really lengthy.
There's a
We've
lot.
condensed down to like 5. No, we've condensed down. We've
What
condensed it
committees
down.
do you guys have?
I think like 5.
It's probably more.
But you condensed a couple. No, we,
8 committees?
no, we condensed down.
Well, that's why you're not meeting consistently.
Curriculum's the only one that needs consistency.
Yeah,
At least 5.
we used to run them on the same night.
There you go.
Yeah.
From like
When I did it, if
We-
somebody
we
was on
would have it
policy,
from,
we
like-
did personnel back to back.
5
Right here.
to 8, and this way if you were on multiple committees, you go from one to the next. This way you only had one night that you had to set aside for committees. And then what the board members would do, whoever the chair of the committee was, before you would get to finance or before you would get to personnel, that board member would say, I'm the chair, we met on this date, this is what we talked about, and they would put out exactly what they talked about,
We
so.
have 8.
I've seen it in other district board meetings,
We
Yeah.
have 8.
Finance, business, budget, supply purchasing, instruction curriculum, personnel negotiations, policy planning, special services, transportation, buildings and grounds, security, and professional services.
some of it
Really
would be
technically
combined.
7.
Yeah,
Professional services only really meet.
That's only once a
One
year.
time a year.
Really technically 7. That meet.
Then throw
That
in
was
the-
I don't know that supplies and purchasing has ever
Okay.
met.
I don't think they
So
ever
here's
met.
your goal, because you don't need to talk about it anymore, right? Here's your goal. Examine our meeting structure and committee structure.
Oh, I like this.
And you can add some caveats like to maximize efficiency or whatever you want, but I think you really need to take a look at all that. You have way too many committees, I hate to tell you.
We had a
Should be
heck of a
5.
lot more.
We had
Or
more than
less.
that.
Yeah. I would,
Three.
I would combine finance, facilities, cafeteria,
That's all that.
maybe
one.
even transportation all into one.
We had way more than this.
Mm-hmm.
They all reside under the same administrator, kind of.
I mean, I can kind of see doing that if you met on a regular basis, that there's something to
makes
talk about, because you don't have something every time in your committee. Or, it could go
Yeah.
2 months before you have
Exactly.
something to talk about.
So if you combine them, then there's always something at that meeting. Whether it's finance, whether it's transportation, there's always gonna be something at the
It
meeting.
also forces a conversation too around something.
And if you do them on the same, all on the same night, which I suggest you do, they're timed. So,
They were timed.
yep, this is it, you are in, you are out, done.
We even brought
Don't
in,
prolong
we
the
even brought in
conversation,
dinner.
because it ends at 8 and we're out.
I think when you say examine the structure, there are merits to each.
Yeah.
The thing to not be decisive, then it's unwieldy. Like, you're gonna have workshops and all the committees, meetings on, that's a lot of meetings.
No, and I don't think that, I don't think
that's
that.
not
I'm at all,
workshops should
I know
be-
that.
Yeah,
So like streamline.
but there are particular times, I think like around budget time,
Right.
Yes.
I don't know that in the fall you would need a workshop meeting. I don't
You
know.
had said like 4.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think. Last
And if
time
you
we
did
had
one, it
talked
would probably be
about it.
October, but still, I don't think you'd need one then. I think, February, or an extra one maybe in January or February.
Budget.
And then, March and April.
It's a lot of,
Maybe
it's a
in
lot of
April for
personnel
staffing.
things
Yeah,
in May.
and other than that, I don't think you really need one. And remember, like, if you guys really wanna sit down and talk about things, if you feel like things are getting ahead of you, you can schedule a special meeting and just call it a workshop meeting and say, all right, we have some things to talk about,
Which is
let's
what they
do
did
that
this
so
year.
we can,
We did that once this year already.
feel like you can do that, yeah.
Sometimes that happens in
done that.
April or August when you have to hire staff.
So the
You may
goal
have
is to
another meeting.
create a committee to talk about committees?
No.
You're the chair.
Well, I like these, I like both of
Oh,
them.
that was a good
Okay.
one.
Oh, wait, we have 2?
That was good.
You have
Oh,
to-
we kept number
You
1.
kept number one, the first sentence of number 1.
Yes.
And then, you're gonna take a look at your meeting structure and your committee structure and kind of maximize some efficiency here without sacrificing knowledge and intent. There you go.
And intent, is that what you said?
You enjoying my break?
Okay.
How
Gotta
did
get
you do?
butt props.
So I need to
All
go
right.
push it down a little bit?
Yes, please.
It did get a little warm in here.
Well, I told John to turn
It's
it down,
been.
she can't
It's
hear
not,
when
it's
it
not, a
goes
it's
on.
not a
Oh,
digital
that's right.
thermostat, so where I set it is.
It's not consistent, right?
Okay, I guess we need a
Put your hand
policy
out.
for air
But
conditioning.
it's noisy.
I'm good at that.
It's very
It's just
noisy.
noisy, that's
That's
why I asked
fine.
her to turn it down.
Can you hear me, Linda?
Yeah, I can hear you, just like you can hear me.
Oh, Lord.
All right.
So we only need 2?
So that would,
I think that's a lot of work this year, because when you guys try to collapse those committees, I know some of you are gonna take ownership of them. Oh, we have to keep this. So it's not gonna be as easy as you think. But
No, I
I would
kinda-
try to get that done during the summer months.
That's good.
Because that way you're ready to roll when September comes around. And remember to pull your policies. I don't know what your policies say about. So. And while you're at it, you
Be in the
should
bylaws.
also.
Policy committee is gonna look at that.
You should also take a look at, when you define what these committees are, what are their responsibilities, what are their roles, what are their responsibilities? Not just like we have a committee, but what do they do? Their responsibilities.
So each committee has a goal then?
So they should have responsibilities. So if I'm a new
That are
member, I can
consistent.
look at it and go, okay, this is what this committee does.
Who's trying to ignore
I heard you down there.
I had to get the arm tap to make sure I heard.
It's Linda again, isn't it?
It's Linda again.
I told you.
Okay, are you gonna do ethics with us tonight, or,
I hope not.
okay?
We need it.
I thought it was both, I thought you were doing both.
You're
That's
putting
all right.
things out there that may not come in.
We thought it was
We're
both
talking about
tonight.
it, and all you do is create
But we don't have to.
Do you want to come back?
hearsay.
When's your next meeting?
It's 19.
No, it's probably jam-packed though. We only have 1 a month.
How long is it gonna take to
Oh
do
my
ethics?
God, here we go.
8 items.
You've already been at this almost.
Yeah, I
I think
11
we should do
items
it.
Okay.
We can do July 11th.
I know.
Except
That's
an
a
hour and a
workshop,
half, and the regular
generally.
meeting's 30 minutes.
Is that a workshop meeting?
Terry, how about you send Jean some available dates? Discuss it.
She just said we could do it during the summer too.
No,
That's what I
we should do that, maybe we should get together again and maybe I
You
can
just
help
wanna come
through the
back.
policy
This is
discussion.
fun.
I'm sorry, the committee discussion, because I can see with this group where that's gonna go.
No, we're gonna hold it
No,
together
this-
though.
This
Yes,
this group is very consistent.
yeah.
Which is why she needs to come back and help.
Is that good or bad?
It's wonderful.
So the last 3 times I've
They did collapse.
They did,
No.
yes.
Oh, there was a whole lot more.
There was like
Yeah,
11.
it's a whole lot.
Yeah. There was a lot
They
more.
were
Five at the
collapsed.
most, three sounds good, but you're never gonna get away with
Yeah.
And I don't include negotiations.
Finance and
That was
business
always
That's
budget.
separate.
So, really, there's four,
We
but
had a
there's
lot.
three
So
named.
It makes
negotiations
sense
would be
under
ad
the
hoc?
administrator,
Yeah.
whatever departments report to that administrator have
Yeah,
committee.
Purchasing, probably that, huh?
Right.
and then once you get this thing, like,
Purchasing and
Or should we
supply.
come under
don't
finance?
mess with it.
Or come under finance.
But they were.
Basically, whoever is in
Who are we
charge,
tasking
is
with
under-
pulling
this would be
policies?
like-
It is
he
under,
probably would have policy,
under finance.
curriculum.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
He's
Oh.
in charge of everything, but
It is
Finance,
on
business,
Uh,
budget,
transportation will
supply,
come under me.
purchase.
It sounded like you said it
facilities will come
separate.
under me, Finance.
Okay.
So next time we'll do ethics and we'll do committees.
Are we finished?
Thank you.
So here's your homework assignment.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
You start taking a look at your committees and seeing how you can collapse them. Not collapse, combine, let's use a better word. I like collapse because you got way too many, but how would you combine them so it would make sense for your district? Because not everybody does them the same.
So
You know, it's whatever works for.
so who's searching for policies?
I'm not
Are
doing
they-
I
policy.
only want three.
No.
I only want three.
Now,
No.
Yeah, but it's gotta be searched to see what policy we have
Oh,
regarding
that's under
committees.
bylaws, I'll find that. That's
All
under
right,
bylaws.
you rock.
that's not your job, that's a board goal.
What, bylaws?
We're delegating.
This is the board goal, so the board has to.
Gene, you're out.
This-
Yeah, but I'm the board secretary, so I'm gonna
this
do it
is-
for him.
this-
Alright.
And this is his goal.
I would-
He's pushing on this.
Smart man, smart man.
He's like, yeah, I like this.
It's gonna be bingo night. We're gonna review the bylaws on bingo night.
As long as it's Taco Tuesday with bingos, we're good.
Okay, are we good? Everyone?
I think that was productive.
Yes. Terry, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you, thank you.
Linda,
Linda says whatever comes out. Don't like that.
are you guys going to workshop this year?
Yep.
Yes.
What?
Are we being recorded?
Yeah.
We'll meet you for lunch. Do you remember that one year?
Keep
I
our
just said
secrets.
that.
What happens in there stays.
Wait, we're
No,
done.
remember it was my daughter who was getting married?
Yes.
We do.
We do.
We
And I
do.
was so
We
upset.
do.
Tar, we know.
Thanks again, Terry.
Thanks, Tara.
Oh, are you still doing business?
Yeah, we're gonna finish up.
Alright, I'll see you all later.
Thank
Be
you.
careful, thank you.
I
All
need
right.
to know this story, just saying.
Any old business? Any old business? No. Any new business? No new business?
Just a reminder, the 8th grade graduations are a week from this evening, 6 PM. I think everybody who is participating,
I'll be at mine.
attending knows their assignment,
Close my house.
so thank you.
Any public comments? Yes.
I am sorry to keep you all, Dina Hendry, Summerdale. When you guys are writing up your goals, hopefully, this rate is not like set in stone right now. You guys are gonna refine it and make it all nice and pretty and submit it to Trenton. Hopefully, some of these goals are quantifiable where, you know, you're increasing the academics by a certain percentage, not just having a blanket increase, because if you increase it by 1 point, you meet your goal. Another kind suggestion is instead of putting the word should, being compliant or following any policies, the word must, because should is you could do it or you couldn't do it, but we must have our students follow the code of conduct, and we must have our administrators making sure the code of conduct is being followed. And we must have our superintendent hold our administrators accountable for ensuring the safety of not only our students, but our teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I'd just like to throw my 2 cents in.
No.
I'm coming to the end of my time here, so to speak, school board wise and bus stop
What's her
wise and
name?
in our different schools. And I've had the opportunity in the last
Terry
10 years
Fritz.
to have children throughout Gloucester Township schools because I have 8 grandchildren who have progressed through here. I, from my point of view, from parents' point of view, from bus stop parents' point of view, it seems to me that the biggest problem that we have today in this year is in our middle schools. Our middle schools tend to be on an island by themselves. So what happens at Mullen School and what policies they choose to follow and how they handle discipline is entirely different than what you see at Glen Landing. Now, I've had people in both of those schools. I've also had children in Charles W. Lewis, which is kind of also on a different path. And I'm wondering if you have policies, why every principal and every vice principal does not adhere to those. Now, I also know quite a few teachers in all those years, not just in my own family, but quite a few others, who echo that same thing over and over again, and so do parents, as to why do they do this at Glen Landing, but they don't do it at Mullen? Or why is this a punishment here and they adhere to this policy, but we don't? So I think that when you talked about consistency in things, you don't have consistency from where I've stood these last 9 years in your middle schools. Your elementary schools obviously don't have the same type of problems today that your middle schools have. So I would be hoping as a resident, as a grandparent, as a voice for a lot of parents that have spoken to me, that we would take a good hard look at what's being followed in these middle schools, because there's an awful lot of things that go on. It may not reach the board, it may not reach the administration, but they're still happening. And so that's my take on it. Normally I don't give my opinion on everything, but that's my major concern. My youngest grandchild is leaving elementary school now. All 9 of them, I can't think of too many problems in all those years that occurred in your elementary schools. They seem to follow, no matter which elementary school it was, basically the same rules. So that's my suggestion, and you said you wanted consistency, that's my 2 cents.
That's our goal. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Madam President, I appreciate your time working on these goals, and I would encourage some collaboration with your staff throughout the entire district with these goals that you have set, and continue to monitor both discipline and dress code, because we just need to monitor it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none? Any board member comments? None? Seeing none? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, which one down there moved that?
Linda?
I have Jennifer and Kia.
Oh, I thought she.
I don't care, Jennifer and Kia.
I have you down for plenty of other
I want
comments
Jean to
tonight.
hear me.
That's right.
I have you down.
Could we just consistently have the same recording?
I have Mrs. Fields consistently talking tonight down on my notes.
You do?
Yes.
You have a problem with that?
Oh, my God. Ridiculous.
Oh my God.